Is following law is enough to be dharmic?
As I was talking about Rita as the base word where Dharma has evolved to be, as what many scholars believe, Rita is basically an order or a law.
Okay.
If you have to give a English word to it, maybe there is no absolute English word which can connect to the word of Rita. But broadly it means as order or law. So following law will make you dharmic.
Okay.
Now coming to the modern day, when we call as laws, like we have to abide by the constitution. Now if you fundamentally look at the way the design of constitution happened, obviously it was to restore the balance.
Okay.
Not just at that moment in time, but also for a larger period of time to come.
Okay.
So, foundational principles of whatever the constitution, or for that matter any legal sort, would have had some dharmic element into it.
Okay.
It is not that following law is not, absolutely a sort of a only dharmic.
Okay.
But there are always going to be some stages in life where none of these topics are actually perfect.
Is dharmic business model is sustainable in today's context?
So again, the reverse question is Adharmic business sustainable? Now, here is what happens. Let me just give you an analogy. So there are several of my friends and your friends who go to gym.
But we don't go.
We don't go. That's the thing. I used to, but not anymore. So somebody who is interested in building muscles, there are two ways that which they can build. One, go regularly, pump up iron and slow, but it actually makes a lot of effect on the muscle building. The other is to take a steroid.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, steroids will quickly build you muscles.
Right.
But what happens internally? And what happens after you stop is everybody's guess.
Right.
Correct? So, if you are dharmic, you are progressing in an organic manner as what you go every day, work out for an hour, come back, you are fit.
It is incremental.
It is incremental, but it is non-harming. It is not destroying the balance.
Right.
Right? Your body is getting adjusted, even if you have started new. The body is getting adjusted, and over a period of time, you will have certain impact of that. Even if you stop, the resultant effect is not as catastrophic as what you would have done with a steroid. So, a dharmic way is basically that steroid-driven.
Okay.
But if you do it regularly, there is a way that which you can. Now, here is the problem. The problem is, what are we measuring? Now, if you are measuring muscle growth, obviously that fellow will quickly get.
Right. Steroid one will be the first
But
one.
if you are looking at process and the sustainability of the process, obviously the second guy will win, who is going every day regularly and trying to build naturally or organically this business. So the problem is in terms of organizational metrics.
All right.
If you design metrics based on dharmic values, I obviously believe a majority of us will become dharmic. It is this self-aggrandizement that which we impose on ourselves that creates this unsustainable nature of business. So I'm not saying control part, which is in the form of metrics or KPIs, is the only thing which restores. It takes time. People have to understand. There are a lot of other things in the cultural building also, which is critical. But one of the main ways to explain is using these control tools called KPI design and so on and so forth. Now, will there be sustainability if somebody is dharmic? Here, if you are talking of economic sustainability, well, the question is, Adharmic organizations also will have an impact. They will also not sustain. Not everyone who is unethical or so-called Adharmic have been successful. And it is also true that there are many firms which are actually following Dharma and they are successful. So it depends on what is the lens you are seeing.
So how can we say that without telling that I am doing a dharmic business, how can we say that now my stakeholder, look at me, I am doing a dharmic business?
Yeah. So when I was a small kid, I think as a family, we were going to Tirupati.
Okay.
So I'm not that much into, at that moment, very small. I still remember this. So as I was reading, it was written in the as we were going up through the hill, it was written Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita.
Okay.
That means if you protect Dharma, Dharma will in turn protect you.
Okay.
So you don't need to go and tom-tom yourself that this is what is my business, I am Dharmic and so on. And same is also the case, I think there's a wonderful phrase in Mahabharata, Yato Dharma Tatho Vijaya. That means wherever there is Dharma, there is always a Vijay. That means victory. I think it gets repeated around 10 to 12 times, I was told, in the entire Mahabharata. So the first point is that if you are following Dharma in the true spirit, there's every chance that you can get a victory, or it somewhere has some relevance to your getting back of your money, if at all that's what is Vijaya. But then it is also important that we share what we are doing in a transparent manner.
Right.
So the first point that which to our stakeholders, be it our partners in business, or be it customers, or be it our own employees.
Right.
The sharing of these values is very important. Because unless you tell that I believe in this and I'm also doing this, people will never be feeling that you are Dharmic. Otherwise, how many people will really know who you are? So the first point is, it also is important. You don't need to do tom-tom, but you need to communicate. You have to communicate in an appropriate manner to your stakeholders. Now, what is this appropriateness? Is that you're not doing it with any intention of getting back other than inspiring.
Can you elaborate?
Say, for example, when you are communicating, what is the intention of communication? Is to get a appreciation or in return a favor. It could be a customer who would like to purchase you more.
Okay.
Now, that expectation is not the major aspect of your communication. You're telling that this is what I have done, right? I'm saving, say, stray dogs. It is important that you communicate this. I'm doing Annadanam. It is important you propagate this because it may inspire some 10 other people who would probably also come into the fold of Dharma. Now, this requires you to be authentic in your communication. Right? Now, just treat yourself as a communicator. The moment you are not authentic, your body language is very different.
Right. Absolutely.
You cannot fake many times if you are not authentic. So, don't treat the others as fools or idiots. Sometimes it is a compulsion, they have to say yes to you, but they would have already sensed whether you are telling with authenticity or not. So, this is what we call as Trikarana Shuddhi communication.
Trikarana Shuddhi.
It is Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. That is, you are thinking, speaking, and acting in one way. So, whatever you are saying, you are thinking, and whatever you are saying, you are doing.
Okay.
And if there is a strong cohesion among these three, people will get it.
Okay.
And the word spreads. Look at the number of forwards you get in your WhatsApp about some good deeds by people. They just get viral. That's it. Now, you are not interested in it in per se, like what a non-profit. Non-profits also required money.
Right.
But their intention is not that. Similarly, your intention is not to seek anything, but to inspire probably some people. So, if your communication is authentic, people will sense it. Then you need to find the right channels.
Like?
Who is the first receiver of that, majority of that communication?
Okay.
You need to look at their patterns. Okay, if most of it is to go to consumers, and if your consumers are young, mobile, probably a social media communication. And how do you do that? It's important. Otherwise, do some seminars. So, your channels of communication is also going to be important. Now, once you have done that, there is another element that which is important, is about the timeliness.
Okay.
What is this timeliness? Is you will not tell that last year I did a Dharmic work. It doesn't make sense.
Correct.
You need to also be sure that it is a continuous activity. You started from last year, you are continuing. So the timeliness is also very important. When you have to share, what you have to share is very, very important, provided they are authentic by itself. And if it is a continuous process and you are telling this communication over a period of time, be very sure that they are all coherent. Again, Trikarana is important, that whatever you are saying, you're following in action. And you're also thinking.
Okay.
That coherence is very, very important. And from coherence comes the authenticity, and all what you need to do is to put it to the right people.
Right. So, coming to the future of Dharmic business, what you will see, the future of where we are going.
Interestingly, as we are talking, the scholarly work around the Indian knowledge system, specifically on these kinds of principles of dharma, karma, and so on and so forth, is on a rise.
Right.
How do I tell that? The number of Indian knowledge systems centers have grown multifold in the last decade. It was lying dormant for many years, but now there's a rise. So there's a growing awareness among academic community. Similarly, there's also, if you just look at the number of people who are going to Vipassana, the number of people who are looking at spirituality in organization is also growing.
Correct.
So there is a future of dharma in organizations. And it is better to get to dharmic right away, because you will be part of that bigger element of motion, or what you call as revolution, which is dharmic.
Right.
Simple way that which you can look at is the sustainability. In fact, dharma is basically sustainability, right? I teach in an institute in France. So I was told to have a couple of lectures on how selling and sustainability are related. And I'm sure all other faculties are also told.
Right.
And you look at our institution, we are living in a kind of a paradise, trying to be within nature.
Right.
And same is also, the way that which we look at the values that which are Indianized, not just ancient, but even in the modern. There's all good things we want to promote. So there is a growth which is happening around being dharmic. It is all about how we define dharma, but dharma and business, dharma and education is on the rise.
Steve Jobs said many things in his lifetime, many beautiful quotes, but the best one I've read is that last statements that he have made. He's saying that whatever he have made is nothing, meaningless. So is that the same thing that will be happening for all the other business owners on the last breath? And I worry that I wish that they should be reconsidering their the value proposition or the purpose of business, so that they can happily leave or have a graceful exit.
I think the moment you say this, there's a beautiful story my grandfather told, slightly deviating from the Mahabharata's actual story. So it seems in the last phase, when all Pandavas were going towards heaven, one after the other were falling, it was only the Dharmaraj who was left, or Yudhishthir. And then there is a chariot which comes along with a dog he is going to. So it seems that he is discussing this with God, that how many years will I be in Swarga? And what is the rationale for the judgment somebody is in Naraka? So the answer comes that till you are remembered for generations for good deeds on planet, you will be in Swarga. Till the point you are remembered for bad deeds, you will be in Naraka. Then again you will take another journey. So if you want to be in Swarga even after you pass, I'm just not leaving at where Steve Jobs has left. You want to be remembered for your good deeds, follow Dharma.
If you want to be dharmic, you have to imbibe the principles of life. And in a nutshell, I would like to quote Sridhar Guda here. He says, "Sugathanai cheyyunnathu abarannu sugathanai varayan." So if that is imbibed in us, whatever decisions I make will be right, and work on the right things. That is what work on the right things smartly is what you are saying.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. That's what is Dharma. You will not harm others the way the others would like to harm you. That is the foundational principle of Dharma.
Right.